to Station 4 right now. I've already completed the stress survey and accounted for the numbers of these various types of cracks and explained my rationale in calling them what I did. Much of what you see out there now are directions. What we see here is the same thing we saw last week, though, with some asphalt cement which is pooled up on the surface adjacent to a crack. Neither one of these transverse cracks. And we're coming up here on Station 5. Some of the other dark spots that you may see out here are just a result of drippings of motor oil or of other materials from underneath vehicles. Just upstream of the beginning of the test section for 404086, and this is the first core that we pulled. Again, we're using cores here as opposed to using augered holes because we can get a better idea of the thickness of the bituminous base in this case, which is what we're trying to verify. What we have here is 3 layers of bituminous materials. The upper layer which I'm putting out here is about 1 3/8 inches. Wearing cores, which is consider their asphalt concrete. Deep, maybe. This is around 2 5/8 inches total of asphalt concrete, which I'm referring to as an HMAC subsurface layer. This is what you see here is the fine action bituminous base, which isn't used that often anymore here in Oklahoma. It has a little bit more coarse rock in it than some of the past. For instance, down over in Altus. And we have just stuck on the side. I don't think that's within the mix itself. I'm trying to scratch it and see. Maybe it is. Anyway, we do have some coarser stone like you see right in there. I have a total of this of 7 5/8 inches. Our total core thickness is 11 inches. This was the one that had 4.5 inches of HMAC and 8 inches of bituminous base. Of course, this is all going to be overlaid, so itself for GPS2 is a moot point. This hole is taken from the outside wheel path. Typically around 0.1 of an inch. I feel as you get down the test section that there'll be some measure that'll be over a 1/2 inch. Looking a little bit closer at this core and digging around, these are indeed clay balls that are within the mix here. After scooping a few out, you can see where I've done that here. We've got some holes like right in there, and there, and so on throughout. There's a particularly deep one right there. Above the beginning of the test section on 4086. And you can see where the pouring is done up there, and the water is floating in this direction down the wheel path. But you can see how it's collected there in the outer wheel path as well as in the inside. See, what's happened is the water is flowed down here and then flowed in the crack across over and collected there in the inside wheel path in the depression that's adjacent to it. This is probably typical of what we have at the other transverse cracks of medium severity also. This is the second hole we obtained, or the second core we obtained from the test section. This was taken downstream about 50 feet of the test section and between the wheel paths. We have a little bit more mix here. We've got around 1.25 inches of the surface course, about 3 inches of the coarse aggregate asphalt concrete, a total of around 7.5 inches of the fine aggregate bituminous base. You can see, just as we had before, we've got the clay balls embedded here within the mix, and Mr. Hickson is suspicious that we may actually have a mixed in place bituminous base here as opposed to a plant mix, due to the number of clay balls that we see and the just the distribution of them throughout the layer here.
Is this going in your car? Or
about 7.5 inches of the bituminous base. 404086 on US Highway 81 in the southbound lanes just north of Chickasha, Oklahoma.